is the Bible says a brother or an individual was raised for times of adversity. And what that means is every time we go through something difficult in our lives, because God loves us, the likelihood that someone who has made it through the difficulty you just entered into, there's a likelihood that there's somebody who understands the path that you're walking on. And so the reason I say there's stories in the room is because I know there are stories in the room. Now, the question is the story that you tell. It's not for everybody, but it definitely is for somebody. And the question is, how do you get that story out? Now, you can get it out by telling it to people, but the better way to get it out is by putting it in the book, telling that story. And so, what I want to share with you all today is how um, you can leverage technology, how you can use technology to help you accelerate formulating, thinking about, building out, writing, perfecting, adjusting that story, right? Um, how you can partner with someone who, if you can imagine this, doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, never needs a vacation, never has the emotional breakdown. Listen, never feels like not doing what you need them to do, right? And that's technology. And so, what we're going to do is, I'm going to walk through a few slides. I'll tell you a little bit about me, tell you a little bit about what we're going to do, what I'm going to do in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Want to leave time for conversation and questions. Um, yeah, and we'll talk about this software that I designed. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I even got to the point where this software was created. So let's see. I'll share my screen and maybe you all can acknowledge. Can you? That's not the right screen. Ah, there we go. Can you all? I don't. I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Let's see here. Do do do. Thank you for your patience. All right, there we go. Let's make sure I'm sharing the right screen so you all can see what I need for you to see. Okay, so you all can acknowledge. You see my screen. Writing your book in 5 days or one. We say 5 days because the workshop is actually 1 hour a day for 5 days, but it's essentially 5 hours, one day, less than a day. You all can see the slide.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So again, I'm Dwight Taylor, Prophet Dwight Taylor to some. Dwight Taylor is fine, or Dwight. And I'll tell you a little bit about me. Who is this guy that's talking to you? First thing, and I think Apostle Darling mentioned this, I am an ordained prophet. If you have questions about that, feel free to ask. But anyway, I'm a prophet after the order of Bezeleel. And this is what Apostle Darling mentioned. It's very true that I knew nothing about technology when I met God. And one of the things that he revealed to me very early on in our interaction is that what he was going to do in my life was after the order of Bezalel. Now, some of you may know who Bezalel is, and some of you may not. Long story short, he is the guy who God trained directly. The Bible says in Exodus 31 that God trained Bezalel to help Moses build the very first tabernacle. And so, eh, very in depth. So, God taught me technology. And for the past, it's been 25 years now, for the past 25 years or so, I've been helping people leverage technology. And when I say people, I'm talking about businesses, right? I've been helping businesses leverage technology to optimize their world, whatever it is they're trying to do. And it's to such a degree, God has done such a gifting in my life that when I talk to people and they tell me about the challenges they want to overcome, I can see the solutions in my brain, even before I've even said anything or done anything. And so I've spent 20 years, 20 plus years leveraging technology for both businesses, myself, and the Liberty International Network. I've been working with Apostle Darling for that duration of time. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I am allergic to doing anything manual. if you if you tell me, hey, I've got a spreadsheet, I need you to data enter that spreadsheet. My first thought is, that is crazy talk. We're not gonna enter that thing using my fingers, you mean? Oh no, we're gonna use technology. So I'm a person who's allergic to doing anything manual, especially when it comes to technology. I'm also a cancer survivor. And I thought about this as I was doing this slide. I'm also a heart attack survivor. This realm is perilous. Anyway, so I'm a survivor. Last interesting fact about me, my first mode of transportation was a unicycle. The first thing I learned how to ride as a kid was a unicycle. I didn't learn how to ride a bike first. Uh, yeah. Okay, so the agenda. What are we going to talk about today? I'm going to show you the book writing software, right? I'm going to do a demo of that software. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. We'll walk through how it works and let you ask me any questions you want. And I'm going to show you the software that I built. Um, we'll do a Q&A so you can ask me any type of questions you have about writing your book, challenges writing your book, thoughts about writing your book, questions you might have about the software. And then I'm going to pitch you an offer, right? Because we have book writing software, all right? Um, so a little bit about the software itself. In November of 2024, I met an interesting gentleman. The gentleman's name was Eric Goodman. In 2024, I met this gentleman. Yeah, the guy who you just got through listening to in the bank in the in the bank presentation. I met him in a business sort of speed dating, for lack of a better way to describe it, environment where business people had a couple of minutes to introduce themselves to one another. When I met Eric, the next morning in prayer, God told me that guy, when you meet with him again, suggest to him that you and him should be partners. All right. Now, at the time, this was November 2024. At the time that I presented that idea, I was talking to him about some other software that I own. And in a series of meetings, he shared with me that he had this book writing software, but it wasn't really working well for him. So in December of 2024, I rewrote the entire book software, okay, which is the software you're going to see. All right. And so the book software, we have four partners. Chris O'Byrne, who's the CEO of Jet Launch Publishing, who has published over 50,000 books, Eric Goodman, and Mamie Langley. Those are the two people you just got through hearing from, right? So we're partners in the book writing software. So software has been running since January of this year. We have authors have written over 2.5 million words with the software. We have 60 plus authors at this point that have used the software, and we've conducted 6 workshops so far. Actually, that's yeah, no, 5 workshops because this is May, right? Yeah. So we've conducted 5 workshops. So that's a little bit about how the software has been used to this point. I'm going to stop here and figure out if there are any questions. If not, I'm going to jump right into showing you the software. Are there any questions at this point?
No. No.
Wonderful. All right, so let's take a look at the software. I'm going to stop sharing that screen. We'll share a different screen and we'll jump right into seeing the software. Okay, so I need you all to confirm that right now you're not seeing the demo slide. You see my screen that has 6 hour writing revolution has begun.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so let's talk about, you said 6 hour. I'm seeing a couple of different terms here with this software. And that's because, we developed the software last year in December and we're still evolving, right? So those 5 workshops that we've done are workshops that are held on one day on a Saturday, but the workshop is 6 hours long, right? And so we're offering a different pattern today, which is a 5 day. We'll talk about that near the end, but that's the reason it says 6 hour book writing revolution. All right. And so it's because it's held on a Saturday and it runs 6 hours straight. All right. So the software is pretty straightforward and simple. This icon here is the icon for Jet Launch Publishing because that's our major partner, the guy, Chris O'Byrne, who's published 50,000 books or so, and brings to the table that expertise in book writing and that information that is needed. The software is pretty simple, right? It has 4 links: home, frequently asked questions, log in, and setup. Should you decide to participate, you would go to sign up, which is pretty simple. I'm not going to do this because I already have an account: first name, last name, email, and password. Um, I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. Once you log in, you're then presented with creating your first book. Now, I'll share this about the platform. The platform is designed, I designed it so that you can write multiple books. And the thing that makes this platform unique is that the platform is built for you to write in your own voice. So let's say, for an example, you currently have a blog or you have a podcast. And let's say you have maybe you're 15 episodes into your current podcast. Well, every time you do a podcast episode, you have a script that you're going by, or, you're talking or sharing, whether it's audio, video, whatever type of podcast it is, you have that information, right? That information that you wrote is in your voice. Another example is, let's say you have a book that you've already written, or you have papers that you've already written, or you have a blog where you write, or anything that you write, quite frankly. What our tool is designed to do is, as you begin to leverage AI in writing your book, you can upload and add documents that helps your AI assistant write the book in your tone, in your flair. So we just got through talking about the bank codes, and I don't know if you all can see my name. My bank codes are NKAB. So I'm a nurturer first, and it made me share something very important. She said, our bank, opposites attract, but we also attack, right? Because as we begin to learn one another and realize that, our bank codes are opposite in many instances. So anyway, mine is NKAB, right? Which means, to me, in my value system, nurturing is highest upon the list. But then a short step after that is knowledge, right? I want to make sure you know what you're talking about. Kind of goes in line with my technology side, right? And so our software empowers you and encourages you to upload information about your writings or your preference so that it can write in your tone. And so when you first come into the software, as you can see, you're presented with this create a book screen. And this is not actually the title of your book. This is actually how you're going to track your book in the software, right? So I'm just going to call it my first book. Now, when you click create new book, what the software is going to do is it's going to go by its on its way and create your assistant for this specific book. So with each book, you have an assistant, which means that each book can carry a different tone. Each book, of course, has different content that you're writing for, or different subject matter or subject, content that you're writing for, and everything is tracked according to that book. When you create your book, you're then presented with this screen, which contains a button that has the acronym ICAL. The acronym ICAL means Ideal Client Offer Worksheet. And it basically is a document that the software generates after you answering 4 different questions. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and enter this form. So if you were to um, register for the workshop and you were to create your book, you'd be presented with these four questions. And I'll read the four questions. Basically, it's why are you writing this book, right? Who are you writing the book for, if you know that? What's the primary problem that your idea, the person you're writing the book for, what's the primary problem that they have? And then how does your book solve for that problem? Those are basically the four questions. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say my why is I want to help people navigate the complex nature of relationships. Now, I'll tell you why I'm doing that in a second. My ideal client is anyone who struggles to have successful relationships with other people. Uh, and I think I'll say struggles understanding the complexity, yeah, of building successful relationships with other people. All right. And then what's the primary problem? Not understanding the dynamics. And by the way, the more detailed you can be with these four questions, the better your AI assistant is going to be able to help formulate your book. And I'll show you how, we'll see how that's going to work shortly. Not understanding the dynamics of relationships at different levels. All right. And then I'm going to say the 21 laws of relationship. All right, that's my fix. So I'm actually going to use some information from someone that's sitting there in the room with you. Something that they wrote. So there's a person in the room with you who wrote a document of the 21 laws of relationships, and I'm being kind of silly, but the person is Apostle Darling, right? So I'm going to use that as my topic for my book in this example. Now, when you click this, it takes about a minute or two for the software to take your four answers. It then is going to present it to your book writing assistant, which has already been created. It's going to then create your iCal, which I'll show you as soon as it's created. And after creating your iCal, it's going to then prepare to begin writing, helping you write your book. And so, what we're going to walk through right after this is now that we have the four questions for the ideal client offer worksheet complete, the next step is providing our AI assistant with the information that is needed for it to understand either what we want to write. So, for example, if you started writing your book, and let's say you have chapter one, or let's say you have just notes that you've taken, and these can be, we can help you understand how to convert audio notes or video notes, whatever type of way in which you capture your notes, right? Let's say you record them on your phone. We can then take those notes and convert them into text and upload it into your assistant. So your assistant has notes that you've kept and that you've registered about the book that you want to write. Right. And so as you can see, once your ideal client offer worksheet is processed, then you're taken to this page. And this is the page where you're going to spend most of your time. Right. And you can see this is Eric Company's logo, Mamie's company's logo, Chris Obern's company's logo, and then Bezeleel Consulting, right? So these are logos for the four partners. While you're on this screen, it says, Welcome, Dwight, to your Writer Workshop AI Assistant. And right below that, you see the name of the book for tracking inside the software. And then below that, there's some code that allows you to sort of hide this text. And so one of the things we solicit from all of the authors while you're working in the software, if you want to send us feedback, be sure to do so by just clicking this link, right? And then you can see the files that you upload here on the right side of the screen under upload files right here. So I can see my ideal client offer worksheet has been created from those four questions. And actually, I think I'll take a second and show you what was produced behind the scenes just from you answering those four questions. Yeah, I think yeah, let me go ahead and do that now. We'll actually take a look at that, and so I can show you what the ideal client offer worksheet. So you answered four questions, and this is actually a good example of how beneficial it is to leverage AI when doing things like writing a book. And you all give me 1 second so I can get this code and log in here. Um, the AI assistant from the four questions that we answered is going to take those four questions and then build a complete uh, a client offer worksheet for us. 297970. And which you didn't have to do at all, right? So it's going to take the information that you shared, which, by the way, is why sharing um, the answer to those four questions is really important, or taking time to sort of answer those questions. So you can see this is my actual AI assistant, and here is my ideal client offer worksheet. And I'm going to go into that and maybe just, I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll just show you. You can see you saw the short number of items that I typed in, right? It came back and produced all of this. Dwight, just a second. Somebody had a question. Yes. Question. Yes. The client worksheet, basically, that's who your book is going, who your the reason and who your book is supposed to attract, correct? Exactly. Exactly. So you're writing a book, right? And sometimes, one of the things that the workshop does is sort of talk through how to think about that, right? And so we have a document that you can read prior to the workshop, or when you get into the workshop, we sort of talk about that. Does that answer your question? Yes, thank you. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so you can see my client offer worksheet. It's a pretty sizable document. And then we get into this area of the screen. This is where you will spend, should you register for the book writing workshop, this is where you'll spend the bulk of your time, right? This is where you engage your assistant in what we refer to as the book writing conversation. And the first conversation, or the first leg of the conversation, or the first conversational exchange with your book writing AI assistant, we create for you. So you see it says, my name is Dwight. Show the main sections of the ideal client offer that has been uploaded. And that's the file that you saw, right? So it says, welcome to Dwight. Here are the main sections of your ideal client offer worksheet. And this basically is what the ideal client offer worksheet looks like, right? So it gives the author's why. It says the author's reason for writing this book is to help others navigate the challenging and complex nature of relationships. Rooted in the author's value, the drive to help others comes from the awareness that relationships on and on and on and on, right? And so it goes down. It says who my ideal client is, my main market. It gives some consequences of my ideal client: strained relationships with friends, coworkers, and family members, lack of self-confidence, self-esteem. And now these are things that my AI assistant has generated, right? These are not things that I wrote, right? I wrote those four sentences. And from that, it is has generated these items for number one, what the problem is, number two, what the client thinks they need, and then what's the real path and what are we providing, right? And so I'll talk a little bit about the AI assistant now. The AI assistant that I programmed has a couple of things built into it. Number one, your AI assistant has the bank code built into it. And so one of the things that I think Mamie and Eric would have shared with you is this challenge of us not being aware that we could be talking to somebody who has a totally different value system than ours, right? And our intrinsic default way of communicating is communicating according in alignment and in harmony with our value codes. But that means, because there are four different codes, that it could be possible that you're effectively communicating only to 25% of the population, right? And if you're writing a book, that definitely is going to come through. In the world of AI, which I do a lot of work in, there's something that's known as AI or cognitive bias built into the AI, right? And so that bias is just because we are who we are, right? But the bank code is infused into your AI writing assistant so that when it writes for the masses, right? So the AI assistant is programmed that way. It's also programmed to help you think through ideas, right? One of the things that really um, stops a lot of people from writing their book is just procrastination. Where do I get started? Or being overwhelmed with all of the prospective things that you need to do to write a book. Your AI assistant is programmed to help you think through all of those things. And because we've had so many authors use the software, we've actually discovered that your AI assistant, once you actually get through with a draft, can help you with many other things. So I share that so that you understand that your AI assistant has intelligence beyond just what you're providing to it, right? So we've got our first ideal client offer worksheet, and we know how we're going to approach the book. And then your assistant is also designed so that it does not proceed unless you are comfortable with everything that you've read. So the thing to keep in mind with using software like this is you definitely want to make sure you read through what your assistant is creating and that it is in line with your expectations. If not, you should communicate back to the assistant, hey, let's do this again. Don't like that. Rewrite that paragraph or what have you. Okay. So it says, let me know how you'd like to proceed. Would you like to discuss the tone or style of your book next? In this area, you write your request of your AI assistant. So what I'm going to say is, yes, I'd like to upload a document I want you to use for tone and the subject matter for the book. Now I'm gonna so you can see there's a chat area here where you put your request. And by the way, this is just something to that you probably are aware of if you've been working with AI at all. But the more specific you can be in your request to AI, the less room you leave for the AI to sort of fill in gaps that it thinks you mean, right? If you can be explicit when you're asking it things to do, for example. I'll give an example. Let's say this last paragraph, I don't like this last paragraph. Now, one way I can say rewrite the last paragraph, or I can say rewrite the paragraph under the new path is, right? That's a little bit more specific than just rewrite the last paragraph. So that's what I mean by the more specificity you use when communicating with AI, the better. So I'm going to choose a file here, and I know where this file is because I use this in my examples a lot. There we go. It is a file that says Dwight Notes. All right. So I'm going to choose a file here, and you can see the file is down here, right? I'm highlighting it there. It gives you the file name that you're about to upload. You can select one or more files to upload, and then enter your request. And once you do that, you just go ahead and send your request to the assistant. Now, what's going to happen, this is going to take a minute or two because what's happening right now is that in addition to understanding my request, the assistant is uploading the file, reading the file, and processing the file. Okay. So it's doing all of that in this process. And so file processes can take some time to upload. And one of the things that we're doing is improving the software with the speed and time in which it has to respond. We're working on that. Doesn't take too long, right? So here we go. Thanks to Dwight, the ideal client offer was uploaded. I've already provided the extracted information for your purpose. If you'd like me to use specific document for tone and subject matter, please go ahead and upload it. Once it's uploaded, I'll incorporate the style. So what I'm going to say is the next step is creating a chapter outline. So I'm going to say to my assistant, let's proceed with the chapter outline. And I'm going to leave this misspelling in here. One of the great things about AI is that because it understands natural language, it'll make the corrections in misspellings anytime you chat with it. So let's see what type of chapter outline it comes back with. Now, remember, I'm writing a book on the challenges of navigating complex relationships, right? And so let's see what my assistant came back. Now, remember, I haven't given it any chapters, right? It has some programming that I've built in, but then it's coming back with a set of chapters, and I'll read these out loud because it may be difficult for you all to see. So the first one is we've got table of contents, and then we've got a special note to the reader. And this is the AI is saying, my assistant is saying, this is a personal message explaining the purpose of the book and how it can transform the reader's relationships of and overall happiness. Right. So it's a bit of an introduction. Then chapter 1 is the importance of relationships in life. Chapter 2 is the old path, why instincts and generic advice fail. Chapter 3 is the real root of relationship challenges. Chapter 4 is introducing the 21 laws of relationship. Chapter 5, notice it created a chapter for this. I'll tell you where it got this. I'm going to show you where it got this in a second. Chapter 5 is emotional intelligence, the key to thriving relationships. Chapter 6, communication. So you see, we've got a healthy 13 chapter book that the assistant is recommending, right? And what I'm going to say is, if there are any questions, just go right ahead and jump in. Instead of one chapter on the 21 laws of relationship, I want a chapter for each law in addition to the chapters you've recommended. Right. So what I'm saying is instead of one chapter on the 21 laws of relationships, I want a chapter for each of the 21 laws. Let me just be more specific. Each of the 21 laws in addition to the chapters you've recommended. So I'm going to request that and see what my book writing assistant comes back and says. So you've given me 13 chapters already, right? And one chapter on the 21 laws of relationships. And I told you I'd tell you where it got the 21 laws of relationship. So the 21 laws of relationship is what was in that document that I uploaded called Dwight's Notes, right? And so now I'm not going to read through all of these, obviously, but I do want to show you what the assistant did. And I'm demonstrating this to share with you that, you know, when you're using AI, if you don't like what AI gave you, just as you would do if you had a personal assistant or a ghostwriter writing your book, you'd say to them, hey, listen, I don't like that chapter. I don't like the wording of that chapter. I don't like the way the chapter was formulated or built or designed. You communicate with the person. When you're working with AI, you want to do the exact same thing, right? The exact same thing. So it says, thank you for clarifying. Thank you for the clarification. Dwight, here's a revised chapter outline incorporating a dedicated chapter for each of the 21 laws of relationships while retaining the original chapters for context and flow, right? So then when I get down to the 21 laws of relationships, it breaks it down to, and these Apostle Darling can confirm whether this is accurate or not. God honors relationships over rituals. The fruit of the spirit is manifest through relationships. Apostle Darling, does that sound like you're writing? Yeah, I will plagiarize that entire document. Thank you. Wrong relationships are pathways and so on and so on. So, what have we done so far? Right? I think we started at when did we start? 12:30 or so? 12:40 or so? Um, it's 1:10, right? And we have an outline for a book with 33 chapters. Okay? We have an outline for a book with 30 chapters. And the ideal client offer, I basically wrote for it. Now, during a workshop, we recommend that you think about this a little bit more and provide a little bit more context and that sort of thing. Um, to the, to the point, to the end that you can. But I provided a couple of sentences for the sake of time and look at where we are right now, right? And so we're at a point where we can take the chapter outline and decide whether we like it, whether it flows, whether it speaks to us, whether it's aligned with what we're trying to accomplish, and more importantly, whether we think it speaks to those who we're writing the book for, right? And then I want to talk about some of these icons, right? So at the beginning, at the top of these bullets, you see some icons, right? So every blue icon is your question, right? So the blue chat bubble, that's what technically it's called. The blue chat bubble is your question, and the white chat bubble is your AI assistant's response. And above those responses, you see a date and time stamp, and you see some icons. So, Prophet Dwight, I'm going to ask a theoretical question that maybe some of you have encountered. When I work with AI sometimes, um, I'm busy having a conversation back and forth, and then all of a sudden the AI says, "Hey, listen, this conversation is getting kind of long, and you may need to come back later." Has any, can I, sh- I can't see you all, by show of hands, has anybody experienced that? So how many people in the room? I can't see you all, so sorry because I'm sharing the screen. How many people in the room have experienced that? Somebody give me a number that of hands. About 7 people. All right. The reason that happens is because you're using number one, a free tool, obviously, and it's expensive for a company to be able to answer your questions over a period of time. But the more important thing you should know is that the memory of your conversation is stuck within that conversation. If you start a new conversation, there's portions of what you did before you can remember, but not everything, right? And so with our book writing software, every conversation that you have is not only kept, and so I'm going to actually demonstrate this for a second and I'll show you where this is. So my first book is right here on my screen. This is the database of where the information is kept. In our system, as you write your book, all of your messages are preserved over time so that when you come back to writing your book, and I'll show you the messages in a quick second. Let's see. My first book. Yeah. So here are all the messages that I wrote. You can see this first message. Well, you all can't read. Don't worry about it. Text is kind of small. My name is Dwight. Show the main sections of the icon. Then my last question was instead of one chapter on the 21 laws of relationships, I one chapter for each of the 21 laws, right? So we keep a record of all of your chats so you never lose anything, right? And the reason that's important is because your AI assistant has a memory of everything it has done for you. Okay, it keeps a memory of everything it's done for you so that nothing is ever lost. And you'll never get that message saying, "Hey, listen, we've been talking for too long. I'd like to take a break." It's a computer. It shouldn't do that. But the reason it does that is because you're working with free software, right? And they try to limit how much the capacity that free users get. All right. So we have these chat bubbles, and above them there are icons. All right. Prophet Dwight, what I'd like to do is you got me working on the computer, but I'd like to take my chapter outline and read it while I'm walking along the beach and that sort of thing, right? I'd like to think about it and consume it and really, spend some time with it. That's what these icons up here are for, right? So the first icon will copy information to the clipboard so that you can paste it somewhere else. So for example, I'm going to click copy, and you can see it says, when I click copy, it says copied above with the exclamation point. I'm going to start up a new Google Doc, and then I'll just paste it inside of that Google Doc. And I'll show you, I'll show you how this looks in a second. So let's say you just wanted to print it, right? So you can take it on the go with you, and you don't want to have to deal with computers, right? Yeah. So here we are. Here's my doc, right? Here's my table of contents, chapter outline, and I can see all of my information there, right? And I can print that on the go. So the first icon allows you to copy things to the clipboard. You can also download it as a Word doc. If I download this, it downloads it as a Word doc onto my computer. I can also add it, what's known as add to a collection. So if I wanted to take some bullets, some of these responses from my assistant and analyze them, but I don't want all of the bullets, right? I can pick and choose which ones I add. So I'm going to add this one to a collection, and then I'm going to add the very first, not this one, I'm going to add this bullet to a collection, right? And then I can view the collection, and I'll click that for a second. So you can see the first bullet is, thanks for the clarification, Dwight. Here's the revised chapter outline, and it gives me the table of contents. And then down at the bottom, thank you, Dwight, for the ideal client offer worksheet. So I can have, whichever chat bubbles I want added to a collection. And then once I add the chat bullets I desire, I can download them all, right? So it gives you that level of flexibility. And then you can just download everything. So all the chat bubbles, including your questions and the response from the AI assistant. That's what the icons are there for.
Okay, Prophet Dwight,
Yes,
somebody had a problem. I didn't want them to lose it.
absolutely. And because I can't see you all, if you have a question, just break on in and just tell me to stop. Yeah.
Okay, Prophet Dwight, I've written my book, most of my book already, and it's dealing with people with different personalities, so it's different people speaking.
Okay.
Just to give you a sort of background, it's like the person is speaking to God, but they don't know who he is. So they're saying, hey, you, and I heard this about you. And then another person comes in with a conversation, hey, you know, somebody told me about you, but I don't understand what's going on. How can I do that? Will AI do that with different tones and using different words? So it's showing the character of the person's personality.
Absolutely. So let me summarize what I think I just heard, right? So because you're writing a book about multiple personality complex, what you want to be apparent in the book is character one, for example, is speaking versus character two.
Oh, okay.
No, no, that's a question I'm asking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Repeat the question. Say the question again, please.
So um, if I understand you correctly, your question is, can the AI software understand that while writing my book, there could be two voices that are talking in the book, or
Well,
or more than two?
yes.
I would say, and in developing a book, you would call those characters or voices. Sure. You could tell your AI assistant, as you're developing a chapter, this part is being spoken by character one, and this part is being spoken by character two. The other very powerful truth about a book writing AI assistant in the way that I've developed it is that your AI assistant learns what you like and what you dislike as you write the book, right? So if you tell it, okay, your AI assistant has a predefined structure in the way that it writes the paragraph for a book, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. But you may not like that format, right? You may come back and say, I want a different format. In other words, I don't want to start with an opening um, summary of what the chapter is about, right? I want to start with a quote. I want to start every chapter with a quote, or I want to start every chapter with a one-line sentence that encapsulates the content of the chapter. It could be anything, right? Or what you just described, right? Every chapter should have the voices that pertain to that chapter clearly identified. In other words, when you write a paragraph, I need to know which voice is speaking in like bold or something before
Okay,
the paragraph.
I just wanna, does your characters have a name or they're just speaking?
No, in part two, they're just speaking. And it just simply says, hey, you, each one is saying, because they're talking like they're talking to God. And so it's just people saying, hey, you, and they're telling them what happened in life, what they experienced in life. This is what I heard about you. I don't know about you. I thought you didn't love me. Hey, you. I thought you didn't love me. I thought you didn't care for me. Hey,
Okay,
like,
so Dwight, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing, so the way AI would work is that you would say, I'm writing a book about whatever, and these are the characters. I have different voices. The voice of, I don't, I thought you didn't love, the different voices talking to God, and
So it could be the voice of rejection or the
right,
voice of abandonment.
would tell the AI what your different voices are. That then it could connect to
That's
know
right.
the voice is speaking.
okay.
And AI is so smart that if you tell it, okay, here are the 12 voices that will be speaking in this book, and you give it the 12 voices. Let's say abandonment, rejection, um, self-aggrandizement, self-righteousness, and they don't have to be all negative. The encourager, right? Let's say you have 12 voices that are going to write in your book. When you could do it during your ideal client offer worksheet, those 4 questions, but you could also do it once you get into chatting with your book writing assistant, and you're just informing it, okay, here are my 12 characters. AI is smart enough that when it begins to write the chapters, it knows who's speaking which voice, especially if you've already written quite a bit of your book. So what I would, and can you tell me the name of the person that's speaking, please?
Apostle Lucille.
Apostle Lucia. Hey, God bless you. All right. You all, I'm looking at my screen with the AI chat bubble, so I'm not looking at the video. Sorry for that. Um, so so if you've written content, you definitely want to upload that content to the assistant, right? And then provided any other supplemental information that you think is important for the assistant while it is determining how to develop, how to organize your chapters, and how to create a flow that is coherent and ideal for the book that you're writing. And it is smart enough to understand when it reads the content that you've written to understand, to associate the voice with the content. I promise you that. I actually, if I knew that you were going to ask this question, I would have said, hey, send me her document so I can demonstrate it. Because AI is smart enough to understand a voice that's speaking a paragraph or a set of responses that are characteristic of someone feeling rejected over someone speaking a paragraph that feels depressed, right? Those are two different realities and emotions that AI is definitely smart enough to associate with the right voice.
Did he answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, another question, Dwight.
Yes.
Ally.
Hi,
Hi,
Allie.
and my friend Sally, who I really wanted to have come, is the one that was sick, and she's writing a book. It's from her voice. It's all
Yes.
autobiographical about her relationship with her deceased husband, who was a comic. So comedy is really important. She has a very specific, I don't even know the word of, of her voice, but
Tone.
it's a certain tone that's very specific to the way she's very dry. And if she uploaded what she's already written, you say AI is so intelligent, can it actually copy her style?
If I showed you my baby clone, or if I showed you my real clone, uh, let me just say, uh, creepingly so, AI is able to copy your style in a very,
You have to be honest.
yes.
I'm not a tech person, I'm finding this whole thing amazing. And kind of creepy, but wow, so it can actually mimic your tone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, to the degree where on CNN they're talking about this happening right now with an ambassador or somebody cloned this person's voice and has been going around calling people, and they can't tell the difference.
And will it actually tell you like, Sally, that's just like way too much of this and cut that out? Cause she's in, you know, I think, I don't know, like her 8th year or something of this book. And so it's an editing thing at this point. Does it have the kind of intelligence to try to formulate it and edit it even?
It can not on so here's so let me if I had shown you some of our videos, I didn't want to take enough time to show you, but we have people who have used our software who, number one, have written many books and would never ever use AI to write their book. But we convinced them to write, and now they're like, I don't write books any other way
Wow.
now. So and I have a video that I could actually just show you right now with that. With a person who who leads a community of public speakers. Speakers Speak Live. He's in Colorado, in the state of Colorado, where Eric is from. And this guy, so to answer your question, can your AI assistant be the one you bounce ideas off of? And then after it learns your writing style and it learns what you want to write, can it come back and tell you, give you recommendations on what you've already written? Absolutely, categorically, yes. And one of the things that I think I'd want to share from the Speaker Speak Live, from his experience with the software, is that because he's written 8 books with the same publisher, once he finished his draft with our AI software, he took the first chapter to his publisher and said, you know, I want you to edit this. How much would it cost me? And he came back and said, one chapter, said he would save $1,500 on the cost of editing. And the reason he would save $1,500 is because it doesn't need much editing. AI is not perfect, but it is pretty darn smart when it comes to grammar and punctuation and that sort of thing. And so when
More
you write with AI, you just take away a huge portion of the editing cost and work that has to be done. Go ahead. Yes.
yeah, and Dwight, we gotta watch the time, because I think we're,
Are we overtime? I didn't know. I was hoping you all would help me because yeah, I'm engaged. Sorry.
it's 11:20, I think we're already 25 minutes, I told, the other speaker is on, but,
Okay.
we were like 20 minutes behind, but we got another question. Go.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Dwight. This is Cena. I have actually 3 questions and I'll make them real quick.
Yes.
I use ChatGPT probably a million times a day, like literally.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. And um, we also have like a software like this for, it's only strictly for real estate, right? How do you ensure that this, this service is not plagiarizing anything and is giving the, appropriate copyrights where it's needed to be? I know like for when I use ChatGPT for school, like if I write an essay, I literally have to go into Word and make sure that it's giving the appropriate copyrights to who it is, so I won't be, hit with plagiarism. So how does
Yes.
program?
So so the AI assistant is programmed so that if it first off, it- anything you write with our software and you run it through like Originality AI or any type of AI software, it's going to come back saying this is not written by AI. That's the first thing. And the reason why is because of how we programmed it, right? And so when you use things like ChatGPT, anything you write with ChatGPT, you'll take it and go to Originality AI and it'll tell you this is 100% AI written. When you write with our software, you don't get that. The reason you don't get that is because of the process with the iCal and everything. The thing is writing according to the way you want it to write. right? It's not pulling information from other people's books other than general knowledge, right? And so, in addition to that, our software also, all you have to do is ask it, quote all of your sources. I need to see all of your sources. And it'll give you a laundry list. If it does pull information from somewhere else, you can see a itemized list of everywhere it pulled information. The software is designed to do that, right? So that you can footnote your work and give credit where credit is due, should that be the case. But in most of the time, the 2.5 million rows that we've written, no copyrights and no footnotes. Because again, what we encourage people to do is speak in your own voice. Let's get some content that you've written, right? And if the iCal is the only thing, then that's that. But um, so I hope that answers your question. And I know it may seem like, well, it doesn't work that way with ChatGPT. And remember, you're using a free tool. This is a tool that's closed, not accessible to ChatGPT and that sort of thing. And so it's writing in a way that is not pulling from other people's information for the most part. Okay, unless you're, because you can do research with your tool, right? So if you're doing things like research, then you will encounter things like, if you're researching a topic like multiple personality disorder and things like that, it'll then give you information about where it got the information that you requested that it go and get for you.
Okay, I think she got two more questions.
I only have one more. Um, illustration, like, does it help with assist with illustration as well?
It does not, but we have, Apostle Darling and I also have an AI platform for um, tools beyond your draft, right? So you want a cover, you want tweets to help you advertise, you want an ad campaign, right? We have AI tools that are supplemental to the book writing software. This really is germane to getting your draft to a point in 5 days where you have a completed draft and you can then build from there. So hopefully that answers your question. And our aspirations are to expand the platform, the book writing platform. But right now, the AI tools that help with images and things like that and formatting and stuff like that is outside outside of the AI book writing software.
Okay, could you do this? Cause I know we gotta go. I was hoping that we had a demonstration that was like going to be, representative of somebody in the room. Can I ask you to do this? Let me see if you can do this real quick.
Sure.
Take what you did and just like, I'm just fake add a chapter about, um, because I'm thinking about Cena was, I prophesied to Cena that she needs to write a book about the identity of a child. So could we just add to the one you did and see what it comes up with if we put some parameters and said add a chapter about that would teach parents how to form relationships, identity, I'm sorry, form identity in children, to form strong identity, like write a sentence like that to see what it would come up with.
Yeah.
I just want to show them something a little bit more, because it didn't, well, it did show some of the writing, but not really, not like a real paragraph based
So
on.
let's see. Let's see. This chapter would help parents understand how to form strong bonds with their children. What? Give me an identity, any type of identity.
This chapter would teach parents how to build identity in their children, um, to build confidence. What else would you say?
Personality,
Wait. To build confidence,
Discover their personalities
discover their personalities.
and and nurture their gifts. But we're trying to get. I want to get like a paragraph
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right now.
how when you put something in, what comes out. That's
All
what
right, let's do it.
okay. And then we're gonna have
I'm
to.
not gonna say give me. I'm gonna say write a chapter because we want to be specific. Okay, let's do it. So for the sake of time, we're gonna go and see what type of chapter we get back. Now remember, we're doing the 21 laws of relationship, but I'm telling my assistant to do something different. Why? Because it's my assistant. It's my book writing assistant. Let's see what it comes back with. I think it's an interesting challenge. So here we go. Let's see. Certain below is a structured outline for a chapter titled The Identity of a Child, Building Confidence, Personality, and Nurturing Gifts. Once you approve the outline, I can expand it into a full chapter. Here's the chapter outline. Introduction. Briefly introduce the concept of identity in children. Explain why a strong sense of identity is foundational for confidence, self-esteem, and personal growth. Highlight the role of parents in shaping their child's identity. Part two, understanding identity of children. Define what the identity means for a child. In other words, self-awareness. All right.
Can't see anything. They can't see it.
Oh, you can't see. Wait, what?
We'll have the 6 hour writing revolution on our screen. Okay.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay, sorry. Hold on. Here we go. All right, there we go. All right, you all can see it now? Okay. Building confidence in children. This is the chapter outline. That's basically what this is. So I'm gonna say, wait, hold on. I'm gonna say, write. Let's write the full chapter. And then I'm gonna actually send you the chapter, Apostle Don.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Now, who's counting? Who got a watch? I know Amina's got an Android watch on. Amina, look at your Android watch.
You said look at the watch. I have a watch.
She has an Android watch. She better have an Android watch on.
Did you all hear the chapters that
Yes.
came up?
Yeah.
Did you like, how did it sound?
It sounded good.
Sounds amazing, sounds amazing.
Okay.
Already ready.
Okay. So here's the chapter. I'm gonna copy the chapter. I'm gonna put the chapter in a Word doc. We're gonna put the chapter in a doc. And then I'm going to ask for the footnote references for everything that was written.
Wow. So it knows where it gets all its knowledge.
Oh, yeah, it tells you the sources.
Yeah.
So there's the chapter. Okay. We can erase this chapter, identity of a child. We can erase that. Now let me go back to for the sake of time, because I know you got someone waiting. I'm gonna say, please note all resources used in writing this chapter.
Dwight, she came up so she could read it. Could you go back to, well, it's processing now.
Yeah, 1 second. No worries. Yeah, you're talking about reading this right here.
The one the one you just created.
Yep.
Oh, this one.
That you just wrote.
Oh, right
There
there.
it is.
Yeah.
Every child is born with a unique identity waiting to be discovered, nurtured, and celebrated. As parents, caregivers, or mentors, we play a pivotal role in shaping this identity. A child's sense of self is the foundation upon which their confidence, personality, and talents are built. When children understand who they are and feel valued for their individuality, they are empowered to navigate life with resilience and purpose. That's true. That is teaching. In this chapter, we will explore how to help children develop a strong sense of identity, from building their confidence to embracing their personality and nurturing their gifts. You'll learn practical strategies to guide your children on their journey of self-discovery. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I know.
Yes.
Understanding identity in children. Identity is more than just the name of a set of characteristics. It is a child understanding of who they are, what they value, and where they belong. This sense of self begins to form in early childhood and evolves as they grow. It is influenced by family, culture, environment, and experiences.
Okay, wait, I want to stop for a second. Everybody, you all can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
So watch this. You see these blue lines right here?
Um,
The blue lines is Grammarly saying, hey, listen, whatever AI wrote, there's a better way to word it. So you see, AI is not perfect, but look, I mean, there's no misspellings. There's no red lines in here. Oh, you can keep on reading if you like.
That was did. I got
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, I just wanted you all to see right here, real time. And then you just go chapter by chapter. And
Yeah.
so you just build, then you take it and then you say, well, let me change some words. You make it, so it just puts it in front of you, so all you gotta do is tweak it, right? And so it gives you the structure, cause that's where people kind of like, I don't know what to do, but it gives you the structure. And now all you gotta do is make a few changes.
Yeah.
And you gotta put. All right, listen, I think my girl is waiting.
All right, I'm gonna
Okay.
stop sharing. I'm gonna rehab.
Why?
Can I ask this real quick?
So let me give
Hi-
let me yeah, I just want to share this screen, you all. So real fast, Apostle Darling.
Okay.
On June 16th through the 20th
Yes.
is the next time we're gonna do is the time we're gonna do the 5-day workshop, okay? For you all at the conference, no pressure. But today and today only, we're offering you 50% off of that workshop. Imagine, if you will, having a completed book in 5 days. 5 days, right? You have a completed draft of your book in 5 days. You can scan the QR code. I'll lead Apostle Darling and the team there have this flyer. I'm going to take this off the screen now for the sake of time. But this offer is extended to you all, and there's a coupon code called Your Story, right, that you can use to get 50% off. It's usually $1,000 for the workshop. You can join the workshop for 500 if you have a book that you want to get written and you want to get it done now. All right. Listen, thank you for the time, Apostle Darling. What is
Dwight,
I'm sorry?
tell them what that includes.
Oh, so it includes 30 days of access to the software. Um, think about it. You can have a completed draft in 5 days, but some people don't complete their draft in 5 days for a variety of reasons. So you have 30 days to complete your draft. Your AI tool, as we just proved, can help you with writer block. It can help you with audience reach because of the bank code. It definitely will deal with any procrastination. Why? Because you don't have to actually come up with the ideas. You can leverage your AI assistant and it can help you come up with ideas. And can I tell you that as a person who has to come up with ideas a lot, having an assistant that boosts your thought process and you can bounce ideas off of is one of the most powerful tools that there are. Um, yeah. And then you get access to the CEO of Jet Launch Publishing, who's published over 50,000 books, Eric and Mamie, and Apostle Darling and myself in terms of people that you can reference and connect with while you're writing your book. You have access to all of those resources for 500 bucks. And can I tell you, this book right here that Apostle Darling told me to, this book that I wrote in October 21st of 2023 cost me $5,000 to $6,000.
Wow.
Paying the publisher, paying the developmental editor and the grammatical editor, and then everything else. It cost me like 6,000 bucks. The cover cost me 100 bucks. I organized the book myself, but the cover costs 100 bucks. It's the editors that I had to pay for that cost all that money. So, $500 is sort of a steal. Let me just put it that way if you've ever written a book. And so that's my spiel. Listen, love you all. Thank you so much for entertaining me. And yeah.